Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is my second video and we're on career mode once again. Last video I set up the career mode and of course I decided on the power unit supplier, teammate, sponsor, the calendar for this season, and then of course I showcased delivery and plenty of other things in that video. So if you haven't seen that video and you're interested, then I'd click off this and then go to that. But if you've seen that one, then today it is time for the Bahrain qualifying in the first season of my team career mode. So yesterday, when I filmed the first video, of course, we went a little bit into the admin, of course. Once we'd set up the career mode, there's a bit of a gap before the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we managed to get an update for aerodynamics going. That'll be in for the 14th of April. We're also looking at trying to get in another update, an upgrade for chassis soon, but we are a little bit off. We need 75 more R&D points for either the engine cover distribution or the monocoque structure. So we're a little bit off those. That's a bit of a recap of what happened last time. But we're doing pretty well in the R&D chart, if you look at it. Of course, we are ahead of Alpine, just a little bit behind Aston Martin and then AlphaTauri, because if you look in the progress history, you can see how close the four of us are. Barely anything in it. It's just really, really tight there in the R&D chart. So it's going to be a very exciting race, of course, because you're going to have a lot of cars battling for Q3, but there's only 2 slots left once you've Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren have jumped in. But then, of course, the teams drivers who are like 11th, 12th have almost got a better chance than those who are 9th and 10th, because they'll be on the starting on the source and the rest can go for a one stop. So it's going to be a really interesting dynamic, but as you can see, we're right in the mix and ready to get into it. So without further ado, let's get going. Well, time for Quali, people. It's here, it's arrived, the first Quali of the season at Bahrain, and yes, it's into 3 sections, Q1, 2 and 3. Talked about that in the last video, how I'm going to be setting up, and that's how I'm going to be setting up. We're doing the normal 3 sessions, it makes it more interesting. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. And we've got those lovely sets of softs, 3 shiny sets of softs, and then an extra one in reserve if we were to get through to Q3, and an absolute banger. And of course, a set of mediums, which I don't think we'll be using in this session, because I doubt we're going to have any chance of getting anywhere near Q3, even if we were to use the softs. So, I think it's time for us probably to get out on track. As you can see, it's not that busy. So it's the perfect chance for us to get in a lovely flyer to start with and see what sort of pace we've got. First lap of qualifying. First qualifying lap of career mode. It's got a nice ring to it, and this is what we're going for now as we cross the line to begin it. It was an interesting free practice one. I did the first practice, and only that one. It was an interesting one. That's what I'm going to say. I definitely struggled a bit for some grip out there, especially at turn 1. It was pretty horrible trying to get the right line through there and just not run wide without braking at the 150 metre board, which is not where I like to brake. I like to go a little bit later than that. But it was an okay one. We managed to get some decent amount of R&D points. I got a lovely 500 in total out of that, and my teammate Robert got 200, so that's a 700 R&D points for the team. Exactly what we need really to be climbing up the order a bit, as we nearly lose it there. Whew, a little bit too close for comfort. And we got some discounts too. You don't get your R&D until end of free practice 3, which I didn't take part in. But after free practice 1, we got a discount on the engine cover on the chassis department, so I managed to get that one ball. So hopefully that'll be in for the Imola Grand Prix, providing it doesn't have any problems with it. And now we're coming towards the end of our lap. Hopefully it will be a decent lap. I don't think it's been too bad of a lap. Of course, a couple of mistakes, a little bit of oversteer. Not too bad. Not too bad. I was hoping to be a bit quicker, but we are a little bit off our teammate here, which is not what I wanted. But we're going to go straight again. This is how I usually go in qualifying 1. I usually go twice in a row because, you know, you just got to have another go, haven't you? Often you can make some really stupid mistakes on your first lap and it can be quite sloppy. That's only just because it's your first lap. So I love to get straight going again on the same set of tyres. Our teammate, of course, quicker than us with their first lap. Like, that shouldn't stay because we're going a lot quicker now. Still a bit of a scruffy one, but it's not too bad of a lap. Hopefully the car doesn't try to snap out here. But our teammate, I haven't got massively high expectations for him. You know, he's an F2 driver, rookie. He's not going to be flying this career mode, but I definitely think he's got potential to hopefully score us some points by the end of the season. Would I want him to be this weekend? That would be a great question. I'm just asking myself questions. The pressure for that. But I think that he can probably be getting just in between the Haas, Williams, and Alfa Romeo, and then of course the group that I'm hoping to be with, which is Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, and Alpine. I'm hoping he gets in between those two groups. I want him to be ahead of the 6 cars that are, of course, the Haas, Williams, and Alfa Romeos. And as you can see there, we just did a fantastic lap. That should be enough to get us through in qualifying 1, because we went purple in sector 3, green in sector 1 and 2, and now I'm on a cool down lap. So that's a decent lap, and that should be enough to get us through into the next part of qualifying. That lap was certainly a good, and if you look back at it, 10th place, that's a very tasty position to be in. You know, that's not too bad at all. Fastest still in sector 3. I love a lovely bit of sector 3. Middle sector, still struggling a little bit through there, but the first sector wasn't too bad overall. Sebastian Vettel doing nicely up there. Pierre Gasly, I think, a little bit off the pace in sector 1 there. You can see 29.3, that's where he lost the time. We're in a very comfortable position up in 10th. Of course, Verstappen leading Perez, Bottas and Hamilton, but that's not what's important at the moment. What's important is down here. Who's at risk? Well, we've got Nikita Mazepin, Nicholas Latifi, Mick Schumacher, our teammate, not fantastic there down in 19th. Then Antonio Giovinazzi is also at risk, along with Esteban Ocon. I think he's just ahead of the drop zone there because we lose. Oh no, he is in the drop zone actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. Ocon's going to want to get out of that because ahead of him he's got Russell and Raikkonen. He doesn't want to get out qualified by them. And then of course Tsunoda, Stroll, Alonso probably need to go again, but we're pretty comfortable. That lap certainly left us pretty comfortable looking at the final results. Of course, Verstappen was quickest, but that's not the important thing. Both Red Bulls comfortably up there, Mercedes, McLarens, Ferraris, AlphaTauri and Aston Martins. If we have a little look further down the order, we've got ourselves, Alonso and Ocon. Looks like a bit of 2x2. And then Kimi Raikkonen just gets out of qualifying by a 10th. Our teammate out in 17th. Disappointing. I was hoping he'd be in 16th, but not to be. But he's still got the chance to go forward in the race. It's not an absolute disaster. So we lose Robert Schwartzman in 17th, then Antonio Giovinazzi in 18th for Alfa Romeo. George Russell and Nicholas Latifi, both Williams, out 19th and 20th. And then Schumacher leads teammate Mazepin for Haas in 21st and 22nd, with Mazepin 3 seconds off his team, well, 4 tenths off his teammate, and Schumacher 3 tenths off Latifi. So there is your qualifying 1 results, and we lose, of course, Schwartzman, Giovinazzi, Russell, Latifi, Schumacher, and Mazepin in the first third of qualifying. Q2 has arrived, people. We made it pretty comfortably, but now there's only 16 drivers left. 6 of those are going to be exiting, and to be fair, there's a good chance that that's going to be ourselves. But fortunately, though, we do still have 2 sets of softs left. Here, I don't think we're going to get through to Q3, so the plan probably for us is just to go and pump in those laps, get those laps in, and hopefully try to get around 11th, 12th. Because I don't actually want to get through to Q3 on the softs, because we'd probably be finishing around 9th and 10th. As there isn't that long in the session for Q2, we're going to get out on track and hopefully get a decent banker lap in. On to our first lap in Q2 then. Coming towards the final corner. You saw in Q1 how our first lap was a bit scruffy, to say the least. Then when we went again, we were flying. So this lap might be a bit scruffy, but I warmed up properly and we are ready to go under the floodlights in the desert here, and as we are a bit pear-shaped into the first corner there and don't really get the exit we want, but we're doing alright so far. In terms of then getting through to Q3, I don't think we can. The interesting thing will be who will. You know, you'd expect Mercedes, the Red Bulls, and then of course the Ferraris, the McLarens, and then there's still 2 slots left, you know. Of course, AlphaTauri are slightly ahead of this lovely group that we are sandwiched into. But, you know, young Yuki Tsunoda doesn't quite get the same results as teammate Pierre Gasly, so it's going to be quite interesting, you know. The rookie probably isn't going to be as high up as the likes of Alonso and Vettel, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to take that spot. I probably put my money on it being probably Pierre Gasly, quite likely with him. And then it's between, in my opinion, Vettel and then, of course, Alonso. And because Alpine are below us, they're the 4th team in this train, I probably have to put my money on Seb Vettel. So, yeah, I'm probably going to say Seb Vettel, and we're all pear-shaped out the final corner. The car's sliding around quite a bit. The track's quite slippery, and there you go, Alonso and Vettel ahead of us. It's not too bad of a lap, though. I think we might go again, but it just feels a bit sloppy and slippery into turn 1 here. We can possibly go for 2 laps then later on. It'd be interesting to see, though, where Tsunoda, Stroll and Ocon filter out. Of course, Ocon was in the danger zone in Q1. He managed to jump out of that. So he will be hoping that he can do a bit better in Q2 and be a bit further away from the bottom.
Okay, we're currently in the drop zone. We need you to move up into the top 10 or we won't progress to the shootout.
Yeah, I know we won't progress to the shootout, but I don't think we will progress to the shootout. In fact, if you can just stop calling now and I'll take 11. But it'll be interesting for where we can go as Stroll's gone, where I didn't really want him to go. I was hoping he would be behind us, not behind his teammate ahead of Alonso. But this isn't too bad of a lap. It was a scruffy first sector. But our middle sector's a little bit better, so I'm happy we've gone again. We put something okay in, and then we can go again in the second run. And of course, Ocon's gone quicker than us. Can we go quicker than him? Yes, we can. And we can also go quicker than Alonso. So there we go. A bit of an improvement. Only 6 minutes left in the session, and we're getting towards the time when we'll be heading back out. But as you can see, you've got the Ferraris and the McLarens haven't opted for the mediums. Then the Mercedes have gone for the mediums. The Red Bulls have gone for the mediums. And the only 2 other drivers, you've got Pierre Gasly and Vettel. As I said, they're doing pretty well. Yuki Tsunoda doing well in 11th. Then Stroll were 13th. Hopefully we can maybe get back past Stroll and Tsunoda. And then, of course, you've got behind us Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Kimi Raikkonen but it could get a bit interesting for the likes of Pierre Gasly. He's not going to have that cushion, I don't think, because it wouldn't be surprising if Verstappen and Perez switched to the softs. They are pretty close to the drop zone, and they don't really want to have to go out again on those mediums because that's just going to be too much tyre wear, and then they're committing themselves to a two-stop anyway, but they're creating a massive risk. So they're probably going to have to go to a one-stop. Bottas looking all right, and Hamilton, they're looking all right at the moment. They should be safe, but then if you look at the rest of it, Yuki Tsunoda is just about 5/10ths behind. So it's going to be interesting with that to see if they stay on the mediums. But we're not in too bad of a position. We're in 13th. Hopefully we can try and get past Lance Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda. Our final lap in Q2 then, as we just line it up through the final corner to get going. There could be a little bit of traffic here down into turn 1. Hopefully it doesn't affect us. I wanted to go out early. If we can just slot in perfectly ahead of these guys, which we can, then we'll be fine for our lap, or at least most of it. But we're not great into turn 1, but we're not sloppy out of it, which is definitely what I wanted, and immediately 6/10ths quicker. We've just got to make sure we stick the middle sector together. The question is, and I don't know, I didn't see, are the Mercedes and the Red Bull on the softs or on the mediums? That's going to be interesting. Not that we're going to be able to get anywhere near them in the race, of course, but it'll be interesting to see what it's going to be. Leclerc looking the best of the rest at the moment. He was at the top of the standings before this lap. And there should be time after this lap, hopefully, to go again. We're not the best there, though. Into turn 10, and we're losing a lot of time we've gained. I'm just struggling to get the first sector and the middle sector coupled together. I seem to be doing a terrible first sector and a fantastic middle sector, or a fantastic first sector and a terrible middle sector, and I can't seem to link it up together. We're coming up to a bit of traffic of Lance Stroll, but he's going to start to push soon to begin his lap.
2 minutes remaining in the session. We need a good lap here, or we're out of qualifying.
And we're just struggling a little bit. I'm definitely going to have to go again, which is fine because we're not going to get through on these tyres, I don't believe. Stroll's the car ahead of us, and we go wide. He's the car ahead of us on track, the car ahead of us in the standings, and we go quicker than him and Yuki Tsunoda. That probably won't stick. That's why we've got to go and push again and hope that we can go quicker. But it's messy. It's very messy. And that's not going to be for us in qualifying. That's our lap. We'll just let Hamilton through, I think. Unless we can find some magical pace. I don't think that's going to be it. So a bit of a shame there for us. We might return to the garage in a second. I wonder what tyre Hamilton's got on our... See, this is the annoying thing. AI never let me pass. I'm like, should I let you pass, Lewis? Go through, go through. He's on the softs. That is very interesting there. Hamilton on the softs. So he's gone off the mediums onto the softs. Clearly doesn't think he can brave it. But hopefully Tsunoda and Stroll don't have fantastic laps. I can't quite believe how lucky we are here, you know. Pretty good. 11th place. It's pretty much exactly where I wanted to be, and exactly where I thought the best possible place for us to be would be. And if you look, 11th place is just perfect because we don't have to start on the softs. You've got Gasly and Vettel ahead. Predicted those two to go through on the softs, and then they're going to have to start on the softs. So they've got a massive disadvantage compared to me and Yuki behind. They're going to have to start on the softs and then go for a two-stopper. We're going to go for a one-stopper, medium to hard, so we've got that fantastic advantage. The only driver to stay on the mediums was Hamilton, probably because we held him up a bit. So I actually probably ended up doing a favour somehow there, but he actually probably can go for the one-stop in the race now, which is going to be very interesting because Verstappen can't, Bottas can't, and Perez can't because they all decided to switch to the softs when actually Bottas didn't need to because he would have just sat very comfortably, probably down in 7th place. Because he was ahead of his teammate, and his teammate didn't put in a great lap on the softs, so he didn't override his lap on the mediums. So very interesting there. Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo, and Sainz all through on the softs. Gasly and Vettel through on the softs. If we have a look at everyone who's out, we got ourselves in 11th. We were actually extremely close to Sebastian Vettel there. I wasn't expecting to be that close, but you can just see it's It's not come down to 10th, it's not come down to 100th, it's come down to 6,000th. But actually, it's almost better that we're 11th, because we probably would have ended up finishing 10th in Q3 anyway. So we start 11th with Yuki Tsunoda behind for AlphaTauri in 12th. Lance Stroll in 13th for Aston Martin. And then Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon 14th and 15th for Alpine. Kimi Raikkonen sits 16th for Alfa Romeo with his teammate out in Q1. So there we have it. That's the qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's going to be very interesting to see who is on pole out of Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo, Sainz, Gasly and Vettel in the race tomorrow, of course, but we're going to have to wait for that and the grid at the start of the next video. So if you've enjoyed this video, please guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time for the Bahrain Grand Prix race.